session on Tuesday, October 3rd, 2017. At this time, we call this meeting to order and like to move to a roll call, please.
Councilmember Chapados?
Here.
I have the wrong roll call. Sorry. Councilwoman Gussie?
Here.
Councilmember Manfredi?
Here.
Councilmember Smith? Here. Councilmember Wade? Here. Vice Mayor Brown? Mayor Price?
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much. At this time, we'll move through the agenda items. The first agenda item is always the review of the regular city council meeting agenda. Council, questions, concerns, thoughts at this time on the regular city council meeting agenda? Yes, Councilwoman Gussie.
I just would like to remove 9.4 from consent.
9.4 from consent. We'll make that. Is there questions you have now, or do you want that under discussion and on the regular meeting?
On the regular
meeting agenda it is. So that'll be the first item under section 10.1 through 2. Anything else at this time? Okay, seeing nothing, that'll take us back to the work session agenda. Appreciate it. I'm going to pass over to the council members that have any reports on meetings and or conferences attended by the council at this time. Council, anything? Councilwoman Chapados.
Thank you, Mayor. On Saturday, September 23rd, I had the pleasure of attending the Fire Station 571 open house and dedication of our new fire truck. So thanks to the guys at 571 and to everybody at Maricopa Fire and Medical. It was a very nice turnout, and we got a brand new truck in the bay. So the other thing is, yesterday I attended a presentation done by Maricopa Fire and Medical called After the Fire. There was a house fire recently in the village of Rancho El Dorado, and this is a service that Maricopa Fire and Medical provide. It's a chance for the community to see what our firefighters are capable of doing, and in this case, they saved a house, people, and 2 dogs. And it's also a good time for them to reinforce the importance of fire prevention tactics, evacuation routes, how our fire department does what it does, the way it does. So I just want to say thank you to everybody at 574, to Battalion Chief Ken Pantoja, to Assistant Chief John Storm, Fire Marshal Eddie Rodriguez, and everybody at Maricopa Fire and Medical. It's a very good program. We had about 30 people there. They heard some very good information about what happened in this particular case, but also what our fire and medical team is willing to do and able to do. So just wanted to recognize them.
Anyone else this time? Yes, Councilman Wade.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I had an opportunity to attend the Maricopa Unified School District Board meeting on Wednesday last. Was kind of quiet. It didn't seem to be a lot of controversy, so there was kind of quiet there. But did have opportunity to, one of the things I think that was significant, and it actually came out of last couple of weeks meeting, was the offer to Dr. Chestnut and his contract. They're offering a year's contract, and he will probably be moving on at that time. So that was something I think that was significant that came out of the meeting. He's been doing a great job, but now he's looking for something different. So okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember. Anyone else this time? Okay, seeing no one, that'll take us to item 3.3. The Mayor and City Council shall hear a presentation on the city's adaptive reuse program. This is for discussion only. Rudy.
Mayor, City Council. Staff, Planning Division staff, would like to go ahead and present to you basically the city's program that has been used. So it has been in the works for a couple of years now, but it's also been already in a way standardized in the codified zoning code and with recent changes to overlays within the heritage district. So we'd like to present to you basically a quick overview of the program itself within the mixed use or within the heritage district redevelopment area. Prior to going into further details on it, one thing we want to make mention is this is something that we're finally able to adhere to marching orders. Marching orders of the Plan Maricopa, which was Goal B34, was prepare and implement an economic development strategy for a heritage district to synchronize with other plans and policies that encourage redevelopment of new facilities, jobs and sales to attract investment. And one of the ways to objectives was to develop a tool bag for incentives and resources to help business owners and potential developers to upgrade and expand existing businesses. In addition to consider flexibility in codes for redevelopment in the heritage area. Well, we took that objective, and what the zoning code did about 4 years ago now is that, one, we went ahead and codified development standards for areas of the city that is uniquely different, such as the Heritage District or Seven Ranches or Satellite District, Satellite Vista. Well, we create the mixed-use heritage overlay or standards that codify standards to encourage a different type of design standard within that area, but at the same token, to create some reinvestment for existing buildings and existing businesses and existing structures within that area. And later down the year, I believe a year or two after we codified the zoning code and the standards, we went ahead and used that codified standard and adopted an overlay of an area of the city, which we decided that redevelopment area, a portion of the redevelopment area, would have this overlay, the mixed-use heritage overlay. As you may know, the redevelopment area encompasses a larger area, goes a little bit more northern and western from Roosevelt into the industrial park area. So the mixed-use heritage overlay was finally codified through this council for a portion of the heritage district. So now that we have an overlay set place within the area of the city, we now have codified standards for this area of the city to have special unique additional standards for one, new construction, and also two, to give some flexibility for existing businesses or existing structure within the area of the heritage district. And so came beyond the adaptive reuse program. So adaptive reuse is specifically the change from residential to a low-impact professional office, or reutilizing an existing structure for reuse. A lot of cities across the Metro Phoenix area and even Pinell County as well are using this type of incentive or tool bag to reinvest within older portions of town, where they take an existing building and reutilize it for business, commercial, or low impact type use. The example that a lot of cities utilize is low impact type businesses such as insurance office, accounting office, hair salon, barbershops, coffee shops, and general office. The main intent here that we get to look at, and you see these businesses along 7th Avenue, 7th Street, they're very low impact type businesses, but they're still able to accommodate minimal parking requirements, but not really change the character and nature of the area itself. As part of the objectives of the adaptive reuse program as well was to find ways to streamline the process. So when it comes to utilizing an existing building in the Heritage District, we had to find ways to incentivize reinvestment to the area. The way to do it was by looking at ways to defer costing on-site and off-site improvements. And this is where it was very unique in our zoning code that we went ahead and codified these flexibility standards that we can now modify landscape standards, modify parking standards, modify mechanical screening standards, and give some relief to retention and off-site improvement standards. So basically, all the improvements you see on a typical development outside, the Heritage District, on-site and off-site improvements, the code was able to allow give some flexibility in there. I didn't mention the modified fire standards and occupancy equivalency because that's something that we have to work secondarily with our building safety and fire department. One of the biggest things with the fire department that, don't want to say it's a hurdle, but it's somewhat of a costly improvement to any new construction in Maricopa. Anytime you change occupancy from, let's just say residential to a B occupancy, a business type mercantile, our fire code requires that it needs to be automatic sprinkler. And a sprinkler system in a commercial space, such as small as this one, is very costly. It can be over 10, 15 grand itself. Well, we talked to building safety, our deputy fire marshal, Eddie, and also Brady as well, to look at ways of how other cities have done it. Well, we looked at the code and found that there is some interpretation within those life safety codes that does give them the authority to provide alternative methods of meeting the intent of having fire sprinkler systems. There's other ways to do it. I don't have the specifics to that, but we're able to find a way that makes sense, that makes our fire marshal comfortable with the fire requirements, and also our building official as well, to make sure those uncomfortable standards in the way. We are not in a way altering life safety codes, but in a way meeting the true intent of it through a different method itself. To qualify for adaptive reuse, it has to be located within the mixed-use heritage district overlay. It has to be a residential building. less than 5,000 square feet. It's one of the biggest criteria we saw from fire departments, that it has to be small space enough that doesn't, constitute for a large computer system. And it's considered a low impact business use. This is something that our zoning code considers, as long as the impact use is not detrimental to the neighborhood itself, we can look at this type of low impact uses being converted in these neighborhoods.
Hey, Rudy, when you say less than 5,000 square feet, can you give me a clarification here? Because, so if I have a building in the Heritage District and, I don't know, there's an attached room to my house and I want to use that as the new business, I mean, are we talking about the zoning of the entire parcel? Are we talking about a permit that allows for this room? I mean, I guess I'm just looking for clarification. How do you determine the 5,000 square feet? Is it the size of the lot? What determines 5,000 square feet?
And Mayor, council members, I apologize, the 5,000 square feet of the building itself, the gross floor area.
So if it was attached to my current dwelling, then it would count for the entire thing, not just the room that I was trying to operate. Okay. What's that? Yeah. Hold on, Councilmember Whedon.
I was going to say it depends on how that parcel or how that unit is attached to the property. If it has heating and cooling that's attached, it can be considered part of the gross livable square footage.
Sure.
So if it's not, then it's something that you could subtract from it if it's not to that code.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Councilmember Manfredi.
So what it means is, if I'm getting it correctly, if I own a house in Heritage District and I'm a lawyer and I want to live in part of the house and then my front room of the house, a second entrance maybe, if I wanted to do that, I can do that, correct?
So the biggest difference here is that we don't want to get confused with the term home occupation.
Okay.
Because home occupation is still allowed by code.
Right.
So that's another big deal. I think what we're trying to achieve here is that you don't have to live in the home anymore to consider to have a business.
Right.
And one thing with in communities and HOAs is that a business cannot have sites on which no. You can't really get an indication that you're running a home-based business.
Right.
Site, sound, or any type of nuisance or noise, things
Right.
like that. What we're doing in this difference is that you can actually just lease out a house or rent a house, and you don't actually live inside the house itself. That is a possibility, but I want to throw out there that I think there's a caveat with the building code requirements of our interpretation that it may not be allowed if we go through the adaptive use program.
Right, so you can't actually live there and just use part of the house. It's basically being able to use the whole house, not just part. Okay, thank you.
So what we've seen in other cities and the adaptive use policy that other cities have done is that we see that it does stimulate the investment in the area itself. It does support development for local businesses and generate jobs for the city of Maricopa. So we support neighborhood revitalization within the area, sustainability, cost savings, regulatory relief, and we're also finding ways to streamline the process as well. So the process will be all administratively. There is to a point that we have the caveat to notify the public if we feel the need that this use may have some impact to the area. We do have the regulatory right to go ahead and notify the public based on a case-by-case basis. So I just want to give you a couple case studies, good examples that we've seen out there. This is in Phoenix, I believe in Osborne, where again, you see a lot of these homes being converted. This one, for example, is an insurance agent. This is down on 7th Street, south of I-10. Again, a lot of these existing homes will be converted to businesses that make sense. They're sharing an access road between the two homes, but the park is in the back. So again, good success stories that can be done. We see it can be done. I believe this is in Gilbert Road, again, existing home. The biggest thing that we're trying to get out there is that businesses cannot have signage. Expose their business, expose their, that they have a monument sign on the front yard, or the wall sign itself, or the wall. Another one, house converted, model, face, monument sign. And then I just want to throw out kind of full simulation. If you take an existing building in the Heritage District and look at ways that, one, it's meeting the intent of the city's Heritage District design guidelines by one, removing that chain link fencing. Now we're incorporating more of a curb appeal, decorative split rail fencing. we're now meeting our intent of our non-attainment rules of make sure that these dust areas are properly mitigated with some type of dust control additive, AB or some type of gravel that makes sure the parking area itself is properly dust mitigated. That's one of our requirements as part of the process. Landscaping goes into it. That's something that we want to definitely give. Enhancements to this as part of the programs is enhancements landscaping on the curb front yards of these homes. And then the monument sign, the biggest things that happen is these businesses have the ability to now have a disposed monument sign within a natural home itself. And that's the finished product. This is actually the same lot, I think, next to it, and this is actually, so we have this program somewhat test piloting for the past 2 years. We haven't really codified anything, or not codified, but at least put it in the brochure type information. But we have tested out for respect to meeting the requirements. In this instance, this is a SP Media, it's generally the office out there. You can see they have minimum ADA standards of a ADA parking stall, but the rest of the parking area is a dust mitigated parking area. Remove the chain link fence and added the wrought iron fence. We added the landscaping. The Heritage District design guidelines were met in terms of the types of color scheme that we want to see in that area. And at the same token, one of our biggest incentives in the Heritage District is the facade improvement program, where they are able to utilize city funding to help reduce the cost of getting some curb appeal out there. So that's one thing I want to throw out there as well, that this is all goes hand in hand with many other programs such as the facade improvement program, our redevelopment area plan. This is those objectives of it. We now need the intent of our zoning code, so this is all coming to fruition. A lot of these things that we've been working on for the past 5 years has come to a point where we're able to provide flexible standards and flexibility into this. So yeah, I just want to present to you opportunity to look at our brochure. It's just ready to rock and roll. And, tomorrow we have an application ready to go. If you know any businesses or anyone that's interested in the way we feel that the Heritage District is another opportunity to have businesses to be generated in that area. The city of planning department's ready to process this. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions or comments.
Thank you, Rudy. Councilmember Chapados.
Rudy, thanks for the presentation. I know Planning and Zoning saw this as well not too long ago, and they were excited about it. My questions have to do kind of with ADA compliance. Do these buildings have to be altered in some way so they are ADA compliant?
Yeah, that's federal standard. That's something that we can't remove. These buildings have to be ADA compliant.
Okay.
So in the picture that I just mentioned to you, it's hard to tell, but you kind of see there's an ADA ramp on the left side of that. And it's hard to tell as well, but there's a pathway to the front of the street that requires an accessible route to the public right of way. And again, a 180 space hardscape is required.
Okay. So does that also necessitate the building itself having more than one access door, more than one way to get in or out?
I believe there's ways to work with that, but I want to say like 88 bathrooms requirements that we adhere to. I want to say that the access requirements will separate as well.
Okay. And it's, refresh my memory, the facade improvement program, that's a reimbursed endeavor. We don't give the money up front. They have to make the repairs or the renovations, and then we do a reimbursement. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Council members, any other questions? Yes, Councilwoman Gussie.
I recently sold a property in the Heritage District, and they are restricted to a certain percentage of the property's value as far as, I think you're familiar with the property that I'm talking about. So will will this lift those restrictions as far as the percentage of the value of the property?
Mayor, council members, no, it will not. What we think is that the amount of improvements, again, these are low impact businesses, low impact type businesses, as long as we're not doing major modifications to the interior, we feel that they can still meet the intent of not going over that 50% rule, where the county will require them to elevate the building 1 foot above the floodplain. And that's apparently per the SS value of the property itself.
Right now, you just brought up the flood zone. So if there is a property that they want to use it for a salon or something, they would have to go back and,
Mayor,
if you could explain that.
My understanding of it, and I don't want to speak too far because I'm not a floodplain engineer, but it's, the county can only improve the house up to 50% of its value. And the value could be maybe an appraised value, if they have an appraised value, or they go by the assessed value by the county itself. In this instance, this house right here, the amount of improvements that was done on this didn't require them to lift the building going for the floodplain. So they didn't have to go through any type of floodplain requirements. They met that. They were under that 50% rule in terms of the amount of improvements that are made.
And for example, this one here doesn't require the sprinkler systems, because these are modifications that you're making so that they would be able to use these locations for this purpose, reuse the purpose. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Smith.
I just want to emphasize one point, Rudy, for Councilmember Gussie's question. Because of the fact that it doesn't require the sprinklers, it does bring down the cost of that remodeling, so that a lot of remodels then will fall below the flood percentage. So that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Any other questions, council? Thank you, Rudy, appreciate it.
Thank you.
That'll take us to item 3.4. We're going to hear a presentation from the Mexican Consulate regarding the benefits and services made available to the community within the state of Arizona, Pinal County, and the city of Maricopa. Come on up. Yeah, go ahead, Councilmember Wade.
If you don't mind, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a brief introduction for the Deputy Consul Enrique Gomez Mantil. He is actually located in Tucson, and I asked if he would come forth and share with us some of the things that the consulate has available to the Mexican-American community, and so he's here to do that. And thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mayor
Appreciate
Price, honorable members of the council. It's an honor for me to be here on behalf of the Consul of Mexico in Tucson, Ricardo Pineda, and it's a pleasure for me to be here also to share with you a bit of what we do at the Consulate of Mexico in Tucson. The Consul of Mexico in Tucson is the representation of the Mexican government in the counties of Pima and Pinal in Arizona. We work mainly with the Mexican community in this circumscription, in this area, in those two counties, based on two key documents that are the 1963 Vienna Convention on Consular Relations and the 1942 U.S.-Mexico Consular Convention. This is a framework that actually allows Mexico to have consulates in the U.S. and for the U.S. to have consulates in Mexico. Mexico has 50 consulates in the United States. It's the largest consular network that one country has into another one, 5 of which are located in Arizona. These are Yuma, Nogales, Douglas, Tucson, and Phoenix. And as I mentioned, the Consulate of Mexico in Tucson is in charge of the relations with the Pima and Pinal counties. In Arizona, why this importance of having 5 consulates? 27.3% of the population in Arizona is of Hispanic origin. Mexican nationals are the largest Hispanic group, and the Arizona-Sonora border has a high number of illegal crossings, plus the legal ones, of course. The main functions and responsibilities that the consulate has are, first of all, documentation, which means providing passports, IDs, powers of attorney, birth registration, and other documents to Mexican citizens, as well as documents for American citizens that require them. For example, someone who plans on studying or living in Mexico and requires a visa, it's the consulate that actually grants it. Economic promotion, promoting investment and increasing bilateral trade between Arizona and Mexico. Maintaining and enhancing ties between expatriates and their home communities through the consulate. There is a call center in Tucson, which is the Center for Information and Assistance to Mexican Citizens, which is a nationwide service based in Tucson that provides a 24/7 service to Mexican citizens all across the United States. It is located in Tucson, but it's the only one that exists in the whole country. And of course, we provide other services to the Mexican population. Among the main activities we do is the Department of Protection and Legal Affairs that provides advice on labor, criminal, immigration, and administrative issues, visits imprisoned Mexican nationals, visits hospitalized individuals, provides assistance in cases of family-related issues, dealing with custody, domestic violence, child support. It localizes and helps identify deceased Mexican nationals and helps return the remains to Mexico. And of course, we provide quite a lot of seminars to Mexican citizens about their rights, citizenship workshops, and immigration screenings. We do not provide a legal advice. We actually pay for the lawyers or for the associations that can provide this accurate information so that people can make decisions on their own, but once they are informed, thus tackling so-called attorneys and other specialists that actually provide wrong information. We also interview people on a daily basis on the Criminal Consequence Initiative before Operation Streamline in Tucson. As you may see the numbers, the number of people that are arrested and detained and processed for undocumented crossing has been lower and lower each year. In 2017, there are almost 3/4 of what there were in 2016. We also visit every day Mexican detainees at the Border Patrol's Coordination Center in Tucson, which means it's also a way of collaborating with Border Patrol. We in Tucson have the relation with the Tucson sector Border Patrol, which includes Casa Grande and some other parts in Pinal County. As well as with the Criminal Consequence Initiative, the number of people detained at the TCC has decreased with the years. So as you see, 2013 there were more than 16,000 people detained and interviewed. In 2017 we are at 1/4 of what there was 4 years ago. One relevant issue that we have to deal with at the Mexican Consulate in Tucson is working with the Pima County Forensic Office. And it's because all people, all human remains that are found in southern Arizona, whether it's in Yuma, in Douglas, south of Pinal, and in Pima, they are all taken to the Pima County Forensic, to the coroner. And there we have people that are helping identify these remains through spectral images of tattoos, through fingerprints and DNA. From 1998 to 2017, there have been 2,462 human remains found in Arizona, of which 1,380 have been identified, and we still have around 1,000 remains to be identified and returned to their families. The numbers of remains found in the desert have also been, I would say, regular in the last few years. 2010 was the peak with 2,033 remains found, but for us, unlike the US authorities, we do not talk of recent deaths or archaeological remains that have been there for years in the desert. We deal with each part or each body that is found in the desert as a case that was found during the year. But besides that, we also have quite a lot of services that we provide to Mexican citizens that live in this area. We have the Institute for Mexicans Abroad, which is the IME, and it's a subdivision of the Mexican Ministry of Foreign Affairs that promotes strategies and programs to help Mexican communities living and working abroad to integrate and to maintain contact with their country of origin. The focus areas are education, financial education, community development, health and wellness, and the MX Global Network. I'll explain a bit of this. Education is through For example, here in Pinal County, in Florence, in Ilo, we have what we call plazas comunitarias, which are adult education programs for elementary and middle school, provided by volunteers and non-profit organizations. And those who study their primary school get the official diploma from the Mexican Ministry of Education. We have some of them in detention centers so that the detainees can also study, and it has proved a successful program because according to the penitentiary authorities, most people who study or do something in jail don't end up going back to jail. Becas, which is mainly about grants, about scholarships that are provided by the Mexican government to Mexican origin or dreamers, for example, in Arizona. Since 2014, we have provided Pima Community College with over $300,000 for those students. Book donations, for example, in Spanish, so that any institution that wants to promote bilingual education, Spanish and English, can also do it. And this is My Mexico, which is an annual drawing contest focused on children 6 to 14 years old that want to draw something related to Mexico. And children all over the world send their drawings to Mexico. The best 50 ones are chosen by the Institute for Mexicans Abroad, and these 50 drawings tour the world through the embassies and consulates. I talked about financial education, and we try to educate Mexican communities abroad in financial matters such as credit, savings, home loans, investments, retirement, insurance, banking, both in Mexico and abroad. Here in 2017, we launched a financial window to better assist the communities in Pima and Pinal. And at the Consulate of Mexico in Tucson, we are partnering with Chicanos por la Causa, Inc. in order to provide this service. Not only is it at the consulate, but we can also provide seminars that can take place anywhere in Pima and Pinal counties, which includes Maricopa. I talked about community development, so the 3 by 1 is a program coordinated by the Ministry for Social Development in Mexico to support migrants, their projects to help develop their communities of origin in Mexico. So for every Mexican peso that a migrant club sends home for a project of development that can be a school or anything, all 3 federal, state, and municipal governments will match it. So this is a program that has been very helpful, especially for rural areas and for places where migrants also help generate businesses in their local communities so that people can have a productive way of life and earnings in Mexico. Health Window, we partner with El Rio Community Health Center in Tucson to provide health awareness programs to Mexicans and to anyone who approaches the health window at the consulate. We refer them to medical services. We do some part of Mexico education and activity programs for people to enroll in healthcare programs. And we also have the Binational Health Week and a mobile unit that provides these services on a regular basis. This mobile unit is based in Tucson, but can also be taken anywhere in Pima and Pinal County. So if there is any interest in the city of Maricopa to have on a Saturday or on a specific day a mobile health unit provide those services here in Pinal, we are more than glad to do it. And there is one question I didn't mention, which is the Mexican MX Global Network. Mexican migrants do not only include construction workers and people that are into the basic services providing. There are also businessmen, there are also people working in the academy, university professors and lecturers, researchers, and this MX Global Network is a way of generating programs that may have some benefits for their communities where they live in the United States, for example, for Mexico, and for themselves. So, for example, if we identify a Mexican scientist working at the ASU or NAU or U of A, and there is another one working on a similar program in Germany and another one in Mexico, we try to get them together so that they can see whether they can do some advanced research and help benefit their country of origin, their country of adoption, and as I said, themselves. But one of the main activities we do also is business and trade promotion. Mexico is Arizona's main trade partner. About 20 million northbound visitors, well, around 20 million people visit Arizona each year from Mexico through the legal ports of entry. Most of them do it for shopping, do it for visiting relatives and friends, and Mexican visitors spend more or less $7.3 million each day in Arizona, which is an annual impact of $2.3 billion per year. The trade between Mexico and Arizona is far more important than the trade between Mexico and the whole Central America, which is more than 6 countries. And more than 89,000 jobs in Arizona are directly related with trade with Mexico. Mexico is the main destination for Arizona's exports, which are more or less 40% of them. Here I have this small map, and it says Arizona exports 9.2 billion worth of products to Mexico every year. Minerals and ores exported to Mexico generate over 2.5 billion in revenue for Arizona. Mexico imports 25% of Arizona's computer and electronic products. Mexicans account for 68% of the 5.7 million international overnight visitors. And as I mentioned, 89,000 jobs rely on trade with Mexico in Arizona. Since NAFTA came into force, the exports from Arizona to Mexico have increased 332%. As I mentioned, almost 40% of Arizona's exports go to Mexico. And as you see the graphic, the value of the exports from Arizona to Mexico are much greater than they were 23 years ago when NAFTA came into force. Mexican companies also operate 244 business establishments in Arizona and provide more than 8,000 local jobs. These are some of the Mexican companies that are established in southern Arizona. And well, the consular representation, the Mexican consulate in Tucson also seeks to reach out the community as a whole. As I said, there are also working, study, and residence visas for non-Mexican citizens. It's quite usual that many retirees choose to go to Mexico and enjoy their pension over there. Some other people go there for work, for family reasons. And one of our missions is to strengthen the political relationship with local, state, and federal authorities, as well as promoting trade and investment with Mexico. For us, it's important and crucial to talk about the economic and investment opportunities that there are between Mexico and Arizona. And of course, last but not least, we are interested in fostering cultural exchanges. The photo that you see there is from a concert that took place on September the 15th in Tucson to celebrate the Mexican National Day with the Southern Arizona Symphony Orchestra and some opera singers we brought from Mexico. And the next cultural event is this Saturday. We will have a band from Mexico City that will play outside of the Jewish Museum in Tucson in South Stone Avenue. It's a band of Mexican Jewish musicians that blend klezmer music, which is Jewish music from Eastern Europe, with Mexican music and rock. So we try to show as many different faces of modern Mexico as we can, and we are open for any consultation, any question, or anything that the city of Maricopa may want to collaborate also with the consulate of Mexico. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Council, any questions?
I just want to mention that he does have a table out there with some materials and to take a look at, and you're going to stay around for regular session as well?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Of you to invite me, and I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you
we're
so much.
Happy to have you.
Appreciate that.
Councilwoman Gussie.
I just had one question. I had this conversation with Chief Stahl regarding crimes going unreported by undocumented individuals because of their fear of their legal status. And have you collaborated with any other city to, if a person sees Chief Stahl or one of our police officers in uniform, they are more hesitant to speak to them about these issues than someone like yourself or someone like me. So have you collaborated with any cities to have community forums to discuss their rights and to discuss, reporting of these crimes?
Absolutely. We have been in contact with several authorities locally, and we are more than glad to spread the word that if there is any issue, people should always collaborate with the authorities. We have talked, for example, with Chief Magnus of the Tucson Police Department, and we collaborate with them in order to let people know what their rights are, and especially in some cases, those that are more afraid to denounce a crime or to be witnesses are those that are suffering crimes, for example, victims of domestic violence or people that are threatened by a member of or their family or someone they know, that if they go to the police they will be taken to immigration, or that the person that is threatening is the one that is going to call immigration ICE so that they can be removed from here. But we try to collaborate with the authorities in order to tell people to trust the police, to trust the officers, especially in cases like that. And we'd be glad also if there is this possibility with Maricopa to let the community know about it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Thank you again for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks to you.
Thanks so much. All right, that concludes the final item on the City Council work session. So with that, Council, we only have about 10 minutes, so we won't go to E-session at this point. We'll just stay down here. We will have E-session after the regular session. So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting, please?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on these items? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We'll stand adjourned for 10 minutes.